Hello guys, how are you all? அடுத்தது, how badly did Supreme Court criticize Karnataka High Court and government? And is there any chances for Kamal Hassan to get compensation for his losses? And is there any chances for Kamal Hassan to get compensation for his loss? கேட்டுருவோமா? Supreme Court's criticism of Karnataka High Court and government. The Supreme Court of India issued a strong rebuke to the both Karnataka High Court and the Karnataka government over their handling of Thug Life movie ban controversy, emphasizing the failure to uphold the rule of law and protect constitutional rights. The criticism was particularly sharp during the hearing on June 17, 2025 by a bench comprising Justice Ujjal Bhuyan and Manmohan. Here are the key points of their criticism. என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காங்க? Criticism of Karnataka High Court. The Supreme Court explicitly criticized the Karnataka High Court for suggesting that Kamal Hassan should apologize for his remarks about the Kannada language. Justice Manmohan stated, "It is none of the business of High Court to seek an apology from him," calling the demand inappropriate and emphasizing that court should not engage in coercive censorship by pressurizing individuals to compromise with group threatening public order. Super. Pressurizing individuals to compromise with groups threatening public order. The Supreme Court found the High Court's focus on Hassan's apology rather than issuing a clear directive to stop illegal threats and ensure the film's release to be a misstep. The petition before the Supreme High Court noted that this focus made the High Court an ineffective pathway for securing justice, compelling the appeal to the apex court. The Supreme Court transferred the pending writ petition from the Karnataka High Court to itself, signaling the Supreme Court transferred the pending writ petition from the Karnataka High Court to the itself, signaling a lack of confidence in the High Court's approach to resolving the issue. Criticism of Karnataka government. என்னென்ன கிழிச்சிருக்காங்க பார்த்துருவோம் வாங்க. Supreme Court slammed the Karnataka government for failing to ensure the screening of Thug Life, a film certified by the Central Board of Film Certification, despite threats of violence from pro-Kannada groups like Karnataka Rakshana Vedike. The bench emphasized that mobs and vigilantes cannot be allowed to take over streets, and the state's inaction amounted to a flagrant failure to maintain law and order. The court criticized the state for allegedly preventing the film's release through oral instructions and police interference without issuing any formal prohibitory order, describing this as an unconstitutional extrajudicial ban. The bench rejected the Karnataka government's argument that Hassan's production house chose not to release the film, asserting that the state cannot shrink its responsibility to protect fundamental rights by allowing mob threats to dictate outcomes. Justice Beyond remarked, "The rule of law demands that any person must be allowed to release his film. Filmmaker cannot suffer that the fear that cinema would be burnt down." The court directed the Karnataka government to file a response by June 18, 2025, underscoring the urgency and seriousness of this issue, and scheduled a further hearing for June 19th. Broader context of criticism. என்னென்ன? Supreme Court framed the issue as a matter of constitutional importance, not just about one film, but about upholding freedom of speech and expression, that is Article 19(1)(a), and right to practice a profession, that is Article 19(1)(g). It cited precedents like a Bombay High Court's lifting of a ban on a play Me Nathuram Godse Boltoy to emphasize that differing views, even controversial ones, must be protected under the law. The court stressed that if Hassan's statement was deemed incorrect, the response should be public debate, not threats of arson or violence. Justice Beyond noted, if enlightened people of Bengaluru believe, wow, just wow, the strong usage of words, பார்த்தீங்களா, செம வேற லெவல். If the enlightened people of Bengaluru believe his statement was wrong, they can issue a statement saying so. Why threaten to burn down cinemas? The Supreme Court tone was scathing, describing the situation as a mockery of the rule of law and failure of both High Court and the state government to protect constitutional freedoms against mob driven intimidation. Chances for Kamal Hassan to get compensation for losses. There is a limited information in the provided sources explicitly addressing whether Kamal Hassan or Rajkamal Film International has sought or is likely to receive compensation for losses incurred due to delay or initial ban on Thug Life's release in Karnataka. However, based on the legal proceedings and the context, here is an analysis of for potential compensation. Here is the analysis of the potential for compensation. Legal basis for compensation. Supreme Court's ruling on June 17, 2025 upheld Kamal Hassan's right to screen the film and criticized the Karnataka government inaction, which was deemed a violation of fundamental right under Article 14 right to equality, 19(1)(a) freedom of speech, 19(1)(g) right to practice a profession, and 21 right to live and liberty. Wow. Petition filed by M. Mahesh Reddy described the ban as a irreparable harm to the filmmakers, noting that a ban could result in crores in loss due to the film's inability to be screened in Karnataka. This suggests that the financial losses were a concern raised in the legal proceedings. If Kamal Hassan or his production house can demonstrate quantifiable financial losses, example lost revenue from ticket sales in Karnataka, additional promotional costs, or losses due to delayed release, they could potentially file a claim for compensation against the state for failing to uphold their constitutional rights and provide adequate protection. Precedents, and legal framework. Indian courts have in some cases awarded compensation for violation of fundamental rights caused by state inaction or negligence. For example, compensation has been granted in cases of custodial deaths or failure to maintain law and order. If Hassan's legal team can establish that the Karnataka government's failure to act against threats led to direct financial harm, a claim could be pursued under the tort law or as part of constitutional remedy. The Supreme Court's emphasis on a state's duty to ensure the film's release could strengthen a case for compensation, as the court explicitly noted the government's capitulation to extremist elements and failure to protect filmmakers. Challenges to securing compensation. Lack of explicit claim. The available sources do not indicate that Hassan or Rajkamal Film International explicitly sought compensation in the petition. Their focus was primarily on securing the film's release and police protection. Without a formal claim, a compensation may not be awarded unless initiated in subsequent proceedings. Voluntary delay. Hassan's production house informed Karnataka High Court on June 3, 2025 that they would delay the release in Karnataka to engage in dialogue with the Karnataka Film Chamber of Commerce. The Karnataka government's counsel argued in Supreme Court the filmmaker chose not to release the film, which could weaken a compensation claim if courts view the delay as a voluntary decision rather than a direct result of state's inaction. Proving losses. Quantifying losses may be complex as the film was released nationwide on June 5, 2025 and only delayed in Karnataka. Hassan's team would not be able to provide concrete evidence for financial damage specific to Karnataka market, which may be smaller portion of the film's overall revenue. Likelihood and next steps. Low immediate likelihood. As of latest reports update June 17 and 18, the Supreme Court focus was ensuring the film's release and upholding the rule of law with no mention of compensation. The matter is set for further hearing on June 19, 2025 and compensation could potentially be raised in subsequent proceedings if Hassan's legal team pursues it. Potential for future claims. If Hassan or his production house files a separate suit or amends that current petition to include a claim for damages, the Supreme Court's strong stance against the Karnataka government inaction could support this case. This court's recognition of the unconstitutional extrajudicial ban and the state's failure to protect the constitutional rights provides a legal foundation for arguing that the state's negligence caused the financial harm. Dialogue with KFCC. Hassan's agreement to delay the release and engage in dialogue with KFCC suggests an attempt to resolve the issue amicably, which might reduce the likelihood of pursuing aggressive competition claims unless negotiation fail. Sentiment and public support. அது நான் சொல்லுது post on X reflect positive sentiment toward the Supreme Court's decision to support the film's release. with the user praising the court for criticizing the Karnataka High Court's apology demand and upholding Hasan's rights. This public support could bolster Hasan's case if he pursued competition, as it highlights the perceived injustice of the ban. Conclusion: Supreme Court's The Supreme Court's criticism of the Karnataka High Court and the government was severe, focusing on their failure to uphold the rule of law and protect fundamental rights against mob threats. The High Court was rebuked for overstepping its role by suggesting an apology, and the state was criticized for capitulating to vigilante groups. The court emphasizing that CBF certified films must be allowed to screen. Regarding the competition, while there is no legal basis for Haas to seek damages due to the state's inaction resulting financial losses, no explicit claim for competition has been reported in the sources. The voluntary delay in release and the ongoing dialogue with KFCC may complicate such claim. However, Supreme Court's strong stance on constitutional violation provides a potential avenue for Hassan to pursue competition in future proceedings, particularly if losses can be clearly quantified and linked to the state's failure to act. The likelihood remains speculative until further legal action is taken, and the outcome of the June 19, 2025 hearing may provide more clarity. Cool. That's it from my end, guys. Hope இது ஒரு நல்ல ஒரு காம்ப்ரஹென்சிவ் வியூ கொடுத்துட்டு நினைக்கிறேன். It's an ongoing issue. நாளைக்கு தான் தெரிய வரும் சுப்ரீம் கோர்ட் என்ன சொல்ல வருதுன்னு. We will follow it through. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like the video if you like the content. Enjoy பார்க்க நல்லா இருந்துச்சுன்னா லைக் பண்ணுங்கள். And if you want to give some suggestions, opinions எதாவது இருக்குது, criticism இருக்குது, suggestions இருக்குது, எதாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, make use of the comment section, let me know. If you want to support me, hit that subscribe button. That's the only way you can support any upcoming YouTubers like me. கூட சீக்கிரம் நல்ல வீடியோ சந்திக்கிறேன். Bye bye. See you all. Peace out.